we are again in another episode of Two Generations, One Mic. I am Andy with my husband Mark, and today's episode we're going to talk about if you guys don't like dogs, don't watch this, but we're going to talk about what is it to live with senior dogs and dogs in general, but our dogs are seniors, so really old seniors. So today's episode is about that. So
they're all through rescues, different times. Everybody asks if everybody thinks the baby is like the baby of them. But so we have Emma, which we will show you here. Emma is 15 years old. She was a rescue from Mexico City when she was a baby that you rescued her.
I rescued her when she was 2 months old.
Yeah, I met her, I don't know how many years later, but I remember the first time she just looked at me.
3 years.
She was three.
When she was three.
I met her for the first time when she was 3, and she just sat there on the bed looking at me and growling at me like, what are your intentions with my mother?
I know. She was, Emma, I got to tell you, babe, and I'm sorry, but Emma is the love of my life. You're not the love of my life.
Yeah,
Emma is. Emma is just the most precious miniature schnauzer. I mean, her soul is just so kind. And when she was a baby, I used to have another dog when I was little, a dog I grew up with. Mm-hmm. And Emma will get up on the table, grab fruit from the table, grab one for the older doggy, and then one for her. And I was like, precious angel. And if you remember, Emma has never destroyed one single toy.
No. Yeah, we still have her toy that's Garfield that she's had, and Vaca, the cow.
Which is a cow from that chain of restaurants, that does the spicy chicken sandwiches.
Yeah. So we have that she's played with forever, and we actually had to keep it away from the little one, who is the destroyer of all toys. So we have those put up so that no one can get there and destroy them. But Emma's always had such personality, and she's not only an amazing soul, but she's very judgmental.
Yeah.
And she can look at you with such judgment. Like all the time, like when you see pictures of her, like when we're leaving the house and she's like staring, just barely peeking around the corner, like where the hell you think you're going?
I know she doesn't bite, she judges.
Oh, extremely. Yeah, when we lived in New York City, we had a 3-bedroom place, and we have 3 puppies around. It's like having 3 toddlers all the time.
Oh, don't tell that story. That's very private. Jesus
No, it's a
Christ,
great story.
No.
So we went. We had our guest room there that we would have our, let's call it, adult private time, and so we decided to sneak in there and have some adult private time. So we shut the door behind us and all that stuff, and then so we come out, and Emma's just looking at us. She's just staring at us like. And she literally looks and shakes her head like, sinners. So I'm going to tell Grandma.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is not for people that don't have dogs. They're they don't understand. But when you have dogs, it's not like you can have intercourse in front of them, right? It's something very intercourse, very, very, very
Why did you say coitus?
Coitus. Yeah, I mean, fine. I'll say it how the kids say it now. How do they say when you hook up?
Hit it. I don't know. I don't know what
I
the
don't
kids
know what
say.
the kids say nowadays. But when you have dogs, it's not like you don't feel comfortable doing anything in front of them.
Right, because they're judging you.
But I don't know if it's just us or all the dogs in the land are the same, but it's just weird. And they don't let you do anything because they're there. They want, I don't know, especially ours. We have 3.
And they're always on top of us.
Yeah, they're always very
mostly
attached.
Mostly on me. All 3 of them like to lay on top of me at the same time, all the time.
They're very attached. And the older they get, the more attached they get. Mm-hmm. So it's not easy to have private time when you have doggies, because like you said, it's like having toddlers.
Yeah, and that was Emma. So we also have our last rescue, but the second in line in age is Bonito, and Bonito is 14 years old, and he is from a little small city outside of Madrid, and his story is his human mother got him when her husband passed away as a baby. So this poor puppy knew nothing about anything other than life with an elderly Spanish woman who never probably watched TV because he barks at the TV like he doesn't understand what it is, and just basically went to the bars with him. He went with her every night to the bars, so he's very comfortable in a bar. And when we're in Spain, he starts barking at 7 o'clock. We call it bar o'clock. Bonito's like, let's go to the bar, because he likes to go and he sits on the chair at the bar and just likes to look at everything and everybody and gets his little snackies and stuff. And everybody loves him and he's great. But so Bonito, that's his life in a very sheltered, small city outside of Madrid. He lived, and he was with his human mother for 10 years. And unfortunately, she died of COVID.
Yeah.
And when she died, her kids, or adult kids, were assholes. They barely fed poor Bonito, would go over and like beat him because he peed in the house and never took him. They never went over to even take him outside.
Yeah, so
hardly.
basically they abandoned him in the apartment
Right.
for like 2 months or so.
And then they end up selling the apartment and threw him in the streets to die. That was what they chose to do to that baby. And you found out about the story.
Yeah, so I was helping a friend, our friend Margarita. I was helping her to find a dog because she wanted to adopt a dog. And we already had 2 dogs, right? We never thought, oh man, we need a third dog. It just wasn't, we weren't looking for it. But then I was helping her and oh my gosh, I was doing the little scroll down the screen and I just saw a picture of Bonito like in a little like a little jacket and a little bow tie. I was like, I read his story, and is this senior dog? He's 10 years old already. Nobody wants to adopt a senior dog, which they're the most amazing dogs. If you can give the chance to a senior dog, please do it. I know everybody says, oh, but it's not going to last as long. It can. I mean, you never know that with a little puppy either. But if you can give a senior dog the opportunity to absolutely die in a warm bed, just do it because it's very rewarding. They're very low maintenance, low energy. Well, I don't know about low maintenance, but low energy.
Bonito's
well,
not low
Bonito,
energy.
but Bonito's
He's like he's 5.
Well, because he's a Spaniard, and like Spaniards are like they live until 150 probably. Like they're old people in the streets all the time. But it was the story of him, and I remember we were at the restaurant having dinner with our friends, and I was like, baby, look at this angel. And you're like, baby, we cannot have one more. I was like, but please look at him. And then you look at him, it's precious boy, and you're like, fine, reach out to them, see what they say. And next thing we knew, we drove to the middle of nowhere, like the GPS didn't even work on the car.
Yeah,
our phones, we didn't have any signal. And we got to this place where they had a goat outside and 1,000 cats because it's this like animal rescue. And we took our other 2 puppies and we said, well, let's take them. And if they get along fine, then we'll give it a shot to Bonito. And it was almost Christmas time 4 years ago. And I remember like when he came out, they were carrying him and he had the most beautiful face. I was like, oh, it just felt like, I don't know. I just felt like that was my boy. And
Yeah.
I never wanted to have a male dog, honestly.
Well, and
I don't like male dogs.
Yeah, and I know it's your boy, but
I know.
the way he looks at me, he bonded with me immediately.
Whatever.
And seriously, look at these eyes. How could you not want to have this boy and give him the best life the rest of his life? He is just my shadow. I can't go anywhere in the house without him right behind me all the time, always laying by me, always touching me, always freaked out if I'm not around. So he has to be there next to me. So he's quite the great addition to the family. And then we have the little troublemaker.
Little Apple. So with Apple, we called her Apple because we were actually in New York when we were at a bar at that time. We were living in Dallas, and then we were at the bar in New York, and we saw this friend of ours posted this picture of it was back in the day where everybody was doing like catching Pokemons or anything. So the Pokemon thing, the app sent her to a dumpster behind her office building where she was working. She didn't find any Pokemons, but she found this little baby Yorkie covered in paint and like all dirty, and it was Apple. Like somebody threw her in a dumpster.
Yeah, probably a breeder, and we're not fans of breeders for profit when it comes to puppies, which is illegal in Spain, by the way. They should do the same thing in the U.S. You're not allowed to breed puppies for
Well,
profit.
people will still do
And,
it.
yeah, but, you
I
know,
just think it's lazy. If you
yeah,
make,
but the Apple had a
yeah.
little problem. That's why she had a little problem with her leg. We thought like a little limp that she had, and they probably thought we can't make money off her. Let's throw her away. And they threw her in a dumpster, and she was so skinny and so frail and eating grass and paint,
Leaves.
just leaves, and she was
Yeah.
just a mess. And we got her, took
we
her
told
to the
we told your friend like
yeah.
hold her. We're coming back and we'll adopt her. And I remember when she came back, the first thing like she started running and she had her little, we called her the boba leg, and it was just like so funny. I don't know. It's just like little bubble she has, and she uses that to um, blackmail us now. No, not like how do you say it nowadays? She does. She
Makes us feel sorry for her.
yeah, like I have a bubble. But anyway, so Apple is now 10. So
yeah,
we have
she's technically a senior too. Almost.
yeah. So we have our 15-year-old Emma, our 14-year-old Bonito, and our 10-year-old Apple. And it's even when we still see them like, oh, it's our puppies, we have to start thinking sometimes that any day now could be the day that
Yeah.
Emma is not gonna be there.
Yeah,
alone.
Emma's really, even though she's only 1 year older than Bonito, it really has taken a turn on her, the age, and so she's getting really senile. She forgets where she's at. She wakes up in the middle of the night. She doesn't know where she's at half the time. We'll catch her just walking and she notices herself now more. She stares at the mirror and like inches away from the mirror, just staring at herself or a reflection off of our wine fridge or anything. It's a reflection that shoots back. But the sadder parts is when you see her and she's just stuck in a corner or she's literally just standing there 1 foot in her water bowl and doesn't realize it. And she's just standing there in the water. And so it's like she gets lost. But then we think, she has good days and bad days. And on days that she's not having a good day, it's very obvious and it's very sad and it hurts our heart. But then just as we think, oh my gosh, this is going to be it, and then next thing I know, she's running down the hallway, galloping past them, and doing. She does parkour. You call it parkour.
We call it parkour.
She runs, jumps, and bounces off everything. She does like a parkour, and you're like, where did this energy come from?
I know she does that, and honestly, again, like when she was 10 years old. I mean, schnauzers don't live that long, right? And like 13 years old are the average. But now she's 15 and turning 16 this year. And again, she sees perfectly. She's deaf now, but she's fine. And Bonito, again, like he's also deaf, right? The 14-year-old. You have to deal with that when older dogs. I think they lost their hearing about at 12, when they were 12. But that doesn't stop you. Like having a deaf dog is not that bad, honestly. It's like the normal dog. You just have to tap on them when you want to grab their attention, because even us, we still forget and we try to yell at them. But I mean, I guess it's just we're used to yell at them like, hey, Bonito, Emma, and they're not turning around. They're not going to turn around.
Right. Yeah, they don't hear us. So we startle them when we come up behind them. But it's funny because even though they've only been together for 4 years, they act like an old married couple all the time. They'll cuddle, they'll kiss on each other, then there'll be fight. Then they fight with each other like an old married couple. And the little one gets in the middle of it and like, hey, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. She starts biting them, both of them, like, stop it, stop it. She'll start a fight, like, everybody stop fighting, stop fighting. And she tries to, and the little one's like also, it warms my heart that like when Emma's having a problem at night or something, and we're thinking, okay, the little one wakes up and comes and like right in her face, checking on her, making sure she's okay, looking at if she's okay, always worrying about what's going on with Emma because she's been there since she was a baby for Emma.
She grew up with her,
Yeah, she used to play with them all the time, and Emma can't really play anymore, and she can't run around with her anymore. But Bonito will start, who never had any siblings, actually started playing this year with Apple, and it's funny to watch them run around and play a little bit. And Emma can't get really involved.
And what I've noticed, honestly, and I talked to our vet about this, is like, sadly, we didn't have Bonito since he was a baby, and good food is really important for them to actually get older and in a good way to get older, because I see doggies all the time that are 10, 12, and they're like, you can tell they're not good. But feeding them, for example, we've always given them good food, good brand food, or if you honestly, if you cannot afford to buy like good brand food, you can actually like give them chicken and rice. I think that's a great thing for them to eat, like chicken, rice, pasta with chicken. Like they need the three things, right? Potatoes, carrots.
Celery,
Actually, with
parsley is really good. Cilantro is really good. I make a broth for them. I make their stock every about every 4 or 5 days. I get chicken. Like chicken thighs or chicken legs because it has a bone in it, it's more flavor. And there's no salt, no garlic or onion because it's not good for them. It's poisonous for puppies. But I mix celery in there and cilantro and parsley, fresh chopped in there with some turmeric, which is also very good for puppies. So I put turmeric in there, and then you take the skin off, and then
because it's a lot of fat.
and then you just slow boil the chicken, and then we use that chicken. And we mix it with their dry food. That's a really good dry food that we got. It's not low quality food. It's good quality food.
Yeah. So for the older dogs, and again, like I think this is important, if you have a younger dog, start giving them carrots, like cooked carrots or raw carrots if they like them, every day. Because we've noticed Emma, for being 15, her eyes are perfect. She has a little bit of gray here and there, but she's perfectly fine. And even the vet is like, wow, she's like her eyes are like from like 6, 7 year old. Apple, which is 10, her eyes are crystal clear. Like everybody thinks she's still a puppy because, I mean, you'll see her eyes in a picture. She is absolutely perfectly fine. She's overweight because she eats a lot. She's a little chubby.
Yeah, her eyes can spot a snacky on the floor.
I know.
From 100 yards away.
But that's very important. So give your dogs, start giving them like carrots as soon as you can. And again, raw or cooked, they're great. Cucumber is also great for them, like watermelon without the seeds. Blueberries. We used to play with Apple when she was little. We used to play with her with the blueberries, and she will chase them, and she absolutely loves them. Emma, not so much. She only kind of like tolerates them, so it was not easy to give it to her. But and Bonito, I don't know. Sometimes he does, but try to find like really good food that your puppy will like instead of buying them like store-bought treats that are not good for them because they have a lot of like fat and carbs and everything. Try to give them like fruits and vegetables that are good for them that you can actually treat them like sweet potato, right? Cooked sweet potato. They love it.
Yeah,
and
I
then
do
you can
sweet
give
potatoes
it
in the
to
air
them.
fryer for them all the time.
You can give it to them as a treat, and that's great. But going back to the food part, I think is if you cannot really afford like a good brand food, buy like at the store, right? Like make a good broth for them, like with chicken feet, for example. You can make a broth. Don't give them a chicken feet that are cooked already because they can choke. The bones are not great for them, but the bone broth is great for them. And rice, like rice is very cheap, and rice is good for them. And rice with some chicken,
But
chicken.
again, plain, no salt, no
Right.
garlic, no onion, none of those.
When they're older, you gotta realize when the dogs are older, and our vet told us like they cannot process protein as much, so you have to go a little bit higher on the rice and the pasta, and not so much on the chicken and the beef and everything, because again, like their organism cannot process it as good as they used to be. But I think having older dogs is very rewarding. Waking every day with them and seeing them that they still love you, and even with those little gray eyes that Bonito has now, and he still tries to see you, and the obsession he has with you. I hate it. I hate that he's so obsessed with him. Like all my dogs are obsessed with my husband, and that's not fair because I adopted them. I was the one that said, I'm gonna get this puppy, and now this puppy. So now what we need to do is keep adopting puppies until we find one that actually is obsessed with me.
We actually took them on a great vacation this past summer. We were like, let's take a driving vacation, a mini vacation, just to give them a treat that we can all remember that we did. And so we when we were in Spain, we just took our car and we drove down to southern Spain, right on the coast between southern Spain and Portugal. And we stayed at an Airbnb that took puppies, and we just let them go with us. And we said, "Oh, this is going to be great. We're going to go to the beach. It'll be awesome, and we'll take this thing." And it was the middle of summer, it was August. It was hot, and we didn't.
Well, we did that one day in the morning, and it was
Right.
great.
Yeah, but this was the afternoon. We didn't think that through, that the sun had been out all day. And so we literally, here are the three of us, and we're going across the beach. And
And this is not a close beach, right?
No.
It's like, what is it, like probably like half a mile
Yeah,
from,
it's a lot
from
of-
the deck to the actual ocean?
right. And we were walking, we started walking, and we started getting into that sand that's been sitting there in that sun all day.
It was
And
so hot.
we were walking, and we were like, okay, let's go. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. And by the time we got about halfway there, you were started to scream.
I was like, abort, abort, retreat, retreat, mission failed, mission
At
failed.
that point, we had already picked up all three puppies. We have them in our arms because we want their paws to be burned. So we're carrying the puppies. We're all three of them. We're carrying, and we're halfway to the water. So we had to decide: do we go back the other direction, or we keep going toward the water?
And that was like, but
And our feet were burning so bad.
yeah, like running in sand, like into the sand and on the sand is so complicated.
Yeah.
And carrying two dogs is even more complicated. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do at this point.
We just kept going
We
all
just
the way
kept
to the
going
water.
all
Till we
the
got
way
to
to the
water. We're
water.
like, oh, thank God, the water. And then we put the puppies down there in water, and they were like, what's this salt water? Ooh, they didn't really care for it too much.
I know, but it was so, I didn't think that through. You
Yeah.
didn't tell me the sand was so hot.
Well, it's the sun. I didn't know it either. We just took off, and that's what ended up happening. But
know.
yeah, it was a great little vacation. We ended up also at an amazing restaurant where they again let puppies in, which they do a lot in Europe. So we just sat in this beautiful restaurant that was right on the ocean, and you could see the beach, and it was gorgeous.
Oh,
The
that
puppies
was
just
in
sat there and
Portugal. That was
relaxed.
the most beautiful.
In Portugal, yeah.
That was so on the beach, right? It was right there by the beach.
Yeah.
That was really, really nice.
Yeah, we have a great picture of that.
Yeah, and I don't know how long they're gonna last, but we are absolutely gonna keep trying the best to do the best we can. And again, like, please, people, give an older dog the opportunity. It's very rewarding. Again, we never thought Bonito, when we adopted him at 10, he was gonna be already 14.
Right.
Because you've had older dogs, well, other dogs in your life, right?
Yeah.
And-
12 was the oldest.
Exactly. So Bonito and Emma are way past that age.
Yeah.
So, and again, like, you see this boy, and the boy is just, everybody thinks he's like 5.
Yeah. It's definitely rewarding. It's going to be heartbreaking when that time comes for all of them, but it's definitely rewarding. So as we say all the time, adopt, don't shop, and rescue, because it's very important. And we need to stop this
rewarding.
breeder for profit thing. It's got to go. But
know.
please like, subscribe, and follow us. If you have any comments, questions, we'll be happy to answer them. We can point you in the direction of shelters if you want to learn more about how to adopt puppies and rescue babies. That
And that's
really
how I
need it.
end up with other dogs.
There you go.
I'll help you, and then I get one for myself.
Yeah.